In this video, we're going to be talking about carbohydrate foods. What foods are high in carbohydrates? Hello everybody, hey, this is Mike Kohler coming to you from Mike Kohler Fitness. I've been a fitness trainer and gym owner for over 25 years. And in this video, I want to talk about carbohydrate-rich foods. What foods are actually high in carbohydrates and pretty much what foods are carbohydrates. If you've been watching some of my videos, you understand that I'm a big believer in controlling your weight with how many carbohydrates you eat. I really think that a moderate carbohydrate diet is by far your best weight loss option. So if you're looking to lose weight, you have to really know what foods are high in carbohydrate foods and really how many carbohydrates you should eat to keep your weight under control. Okay, so first let's go over what foods are high in carbohydrates. So pretty much all grains are carbohydrates, even whole grains, obviously, oatmeal, rye, all grains in general, whether processed or unprocessed, are actually carbohydrate. Most people understand that. But what also is carbohydrates are all vegetables. All healthy vegetables are actually carbohydrates. They are all carbohydrates. Fruits are actually all carbohydrates as well. So we have our grains, we have our vegetables, we have our fruits as carbohydrates. And actually, I would also put beans, legumes, in the category of carbohydrates. I mean, I would call them pretty much a carby rich protein. That means the average there is some protein in grains, but most of the calories come from carbohydrates in legumes. Okay, so we have our grains, we have our vegetables, we have our fruits, we have our beans, we have our legumes, and obviously then just all pretty much sugar. Sugar is just processed white sugar, table sugar, things like that are obviously all carbohydrates as well. Okay, so now let's talk about what happens when we eat carbohydrates and why do I think that controlling how many carbohydrates you eat are actually your best weight loss option. Okay, so when you eat carbohydrates are pretty much all sugars. Okay, so when you eat carbohydrates, whether it's a piece of bread, whether it's a healthy piece of broccoli, whether it's an apple, your body takes these carbohydrates and they converts them into glucose, which is a sugar. Okay. Now, if you don't burn up that glucose right then, like that glucose, that sugar that's running through your blood right then, your body is going to store the excess carbohydrates that you're not burning that very moment in the form of glycogen in your muscles and actually in your liver. The problem with that is that there's only so many, there is only really so much glycogen you can store in your muscles and your liver. So the average person can store anywhere between, say, 1,500 to 2,000 calories of glycogen, carbohydrates in the muscle. Okay, so for example, if you need energy at a different time during the day, your body can pull out those carbohydrates from your muscles or from your liver. They give you energy to work out. Actually, I did another great video on all the energy systems of the body, explaining ATP and creatine phosphate in the aerobic phase. It all ties together and it gives you a good understanding of what happens when you digest carbohydrates. Okay, but for example, why I think so many people are overweight is because their glycogen stores are full and they keep on eating more carbohydrates. For example, once they're full, you got 2,000 calories in your muscle and your liver, and you keep on eating more and more carbohydrates, your body turns them into fat. And it also leads to being overweight. It can possibly lead to diabetes. It also leads to problems with like insulin resistance, which actually leads to diabetes, where your body keeps on producing insulin. Insulin is actually a storage hormone. It helps you store these carbohydrates in the form of glycogen in your muscles and your liver. But if you're eating tons of carbohydrates and your body keeps on producing insulin to store these carbohydrates, the body just it isn't responsive to this insulin and it just doesn't work right. And that's why you have issues with insulin resistance. Okay? So what I think is probably the ideal amount of carbohydrates most people would have to eat to keep their weight under control is anywhere between 100 to 150 grams of carbohydrate. Just think there's 4 calories per gram. So let's say 4 to maybe 600 calories of carbohydrates per day is probably a reasonable amount of carbohydrates to keep your weight under control. And if you want to lose weight, I would go down to anywhere between 50 to 100 grams of carbohydrates per day, maybe 200 to 400 calories of carbohydrates a day is a great place to stay. Actually, some people like to call that the sweet spot of weight loss. They eat between 50 to 100 grams of carbohydrates a day, that's a great place to be. But if you're active and you're working out, I think you can actually lose some weight or keep your weight under control eating 100 to 150 grams. But once you start getting into those bigger numbers, like 250 grams a day, 300 grams of carbohydrates a day, unless you're like a really big person and you're like a professional football player and you're burning an insane amount of calories, that's just way, in my opinion, way too many carbohydrates to be digesting to stay at an optimal rate. Okay, well, like I hope you guys found this video helpful. It's amazing to me how many clients come into my gym and just don't really understand what foods really are carbohydrates. Okay, so let's just review all the carbohydrates once again. We know all grains now are carbohydrates. We know all vegetables are carbohydrates. We know all fruits are carbohydrates. In my opinion, beans and legumes are more carbohydrates than they are protein. And obviously all the processed sugars are carbohydrates. And those are the calories. Those are the types of foods that you want to keep an eye on. Most of your carbohydrates should come from vegetables. I would say the majority from vegetables and a couple of fruits a day. Okay, so I hope everyone found this video helpful. If you did, give me a thumbs up on YouTube. If you're watching this on Facebook, give me a like. Subscribe to my channel. I'm doing great. I'm doing great videos like this on a regular basis. Every week you'll see 2-3 videos on fitness, health, and nutrition. And I always like to end these videos by saying, if you live in Westchester, New York, and you're looking for a great gym to train in, look me up, Mike Cola Fitness. Take care. Hope to hear from you soon.